Virgo. Did you wake up from a dream where your dead mother whispered something only to forget it seconds later? Have you been smelling her perfume again, or hearing her voice when no one's around? What if she's not gone? What if she's trying to warn you about something that will shake your entire family in 2025? Maybe it was your mother, your grandfather, or maybe it was someone who left too soon, before you had the chance to say goodbye. And now they're trying to reach you not through words, but through feelings, symbols, and moments that don't quite fit into the logic of daily life. What if that dream wasn't just a dream? What if it was a message, a warning, a doorway? And what if I told you you're not crazy? You're not making it up. The presence you felt was real. It was quiet. Yes, gentle, but strong enough to make your chest tighten the moment you woke up. Strong enough to make you remember their eyes, their voice, that feeling of being held, even if no one was there. That familiar scent in the hallway, that light flicker at midnight. These are not coincidences. I want you to take a breath right now. Place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes for a few seconds. If you can, just breathe. Can you feel them? That slight shift in the air, that warm ache in your chest. That's not random. That's love crossing the veil. That's a soul reaching out from beyond to say, hey, I'm still here, and I need you to know something. You see, these moments don't come often. They don't come to everyone, but they come to you for a reason. Because you're sensitive, because your spirit is open, because you're ready to hear what has long been kept hidden, ready to break a cycle that started generations ago. Ready to heal not just yourself, but the thread of your lineage. The energy I feel around you right now is not an ordinary one. It's sacred, it's protective, and it carries urgency. Like someone on the other side is trying so hard to get a message through. Maybe it's about a truth that was buried, a family secret that's long overdue to be revealed. Or maybe it's about your own healing, about letting go of a pain you've been carrying alone for far too long. I've known people who ignored these signs for years, only to realize much later that their body, their relationships, their sense of peace had all been quietly asking them to pay attention. Don't wait for that. Don't wait until the universe has to shout, because right now, it's whispering to your soul, whatever this is. Today, this moment, is not just another reading. It's a soul conversation between your heart and theirs, between your spirit and the unseen. And they chose this moment, this space, because they know you're finally ready to listen. So if you're here right now, listening, it's not by accident. You've been guided. You've been chosen. This message found you because your soul is ready to remember, to receive, and to rise. Virgo, let's talk about something that runs deep within you, something most people around you never even notice. You've spent your life being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who holds everything together when everyone else is falling apart. You show up, you organize, you remember the birthdays, you keep track of the details no one else pays attention to, and you do it all without asking for credit. You don't do it for applause. You do it because you care, because someone has to, and somehow. But let me ask you something: who takes care of you? You've become so good at managing the chaos around you that no one ever stops to think that maybe, just maybe, you're tired too. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you've been carrying so much emotional weight that your soul is running on empty. But the world doesn't see that. They see your calm face, your to-do lists, your gentle nods of understanding, and they assume you're fine. You've become the emotional anchor for so many people that you forgot what it feels like to drift, to release, to simply breathe without needing to fix or hold or mend. You've learned to hide your pain behind productivity, to bury your feelings under tasks. You think, if I can just keep everything in order out there, maybe the storm inside won't swallow me whole. But here's the truth. That storm, it's not going away, not until you turn and face it. And this is not about blame. This is about truth, about compassion. Because somewhere in your upbringing, in your family, in your culture, you were taught directly or indirectly that your worth was tied to how helpful you were, how put together you seemed, how well you carried other people's burdens. And over time, that belief became a role, and that role became a mask. And now, that mask is so convincing that even you forget it's there. But your soul hasn't forgotten. Your soul is tired of pretending everything's okay. It's tired of being the strong one. And you know what you don't have to be. You don't have to keep proving your value through how much you can endure. You are not a container for other people's unresolved pain. You are not a dumping ground for unspoken words. You are a human being with needs, with limits, with a heart that longs to be held too. And this moment, right now, is your permission slip to set that weight down, to look at your reflection without the roles, to ask yourself not who does the world need me to be, but who am I, really? Because underneath it all, Virgo, there is a version of you that is wildly intuitive, deeply sensitive, profoundly creative, a version of you that's been waiting to come home. And that version, that's the one your ancestors have been calling back. That's the one who will finally break the cycle. You're allowed to choose yourself. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to be seen not as the fixer, the planner, the protector, but as a soul who also needs space, care, and love. And when you give yourself that gift, everything begins to change, not just for you, but for everyone who comes after you. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Because healing doesn't start when you're done helping everyone else. It starts the moment you decide that your inner peace matters too. And Virgo, your peace is long overdue. Virgo, let's talk about that dream, the one you can't quite shake. Maybe it started in a quiet hallway, or maybe you were standing in a house you haven't seen in years. There was a door closed, old, maybe locked, and a feeling that something waited on the other side. You could feel it in your chest, like a pull, like a whisper saying, "Go further. Open it." But you didn't. Or maybe you did. And what you saw wasn't clear, but it left you with emotions too big to name. Dreams like this aren't random. They're messages wrapped in metaphor, symbols speaking the language of the soul, and your soul remembers what your mind forgot. Let's break it down. That hallway, that's a passage, a space between where you've been and where you're meant to go. It often shows up when you're in transition, emotionally or spiritually. The closed door, that's the secret, the pain, the truth you haven't yet faced, or maybe it's the truth someone else hid from you. And if you felt someone standing behind that door, if you sensed a presence watching, waiting, that's not fear, that's intuition. That's the part of you that knows something wants to be revealed, that a chapter long buried is ready to be reopened, not to hurt you, but to free you. Many people dream of childhood homes, old bedrooms, attics, basements. These are not just random settings. They are memory banks, emotional vaults. Each room often represents a compartment in your subconscious. And if you found yourself back in that childhood kitchen or walking past family photos, pay attention. Your spirit is pointing you toward a moment or memory that still needs your attention. Did you see your mother, a grandmother, or maybe a woman with no name, but with eyes that felt familiar? That's not coincidence. In dream language, Ancestral feminine energy often comes forward as the keeper of emotional truths. She carries the unspoken stories, the silenced voices, the untold histories, and if she touched your shoulder or tried to speak to you, she's asking you to listen, to remember, to uncover what was hidden. And what about water? Was there a river, a flood, a leaking faucet? Water in dreams always points to emotion. A calm stream reflects peace. A stormy sea means emotional overwhelm, a dripping ceiling. Emotions trying to break through your awareness. Your soul is telling you, you've held too much for too long. One woman I worked with dreamed of her childhood backyard. In the dream, she dug up a box, and inside it was a necklace, one she hadn't seen since her mother passed away. When she told her aunt about the dream, her aunt broke down in tears. That necklace was real, and it had been hidden after the funeral. The dream led her to a truth the family had buried. Your dream may not be literal, but it's always symbolic, always offering insight. So ask yourself, what was I feeling? What symbols stood out? Who showed up? What emotion lingered after I woke up? These are keys, each one unlocking a door back to your own story. This is why your ancestors come to you in dreams, not to haunt you, but to guide you. They know you're the one who can finally break the cycle, the one who has the strength to see what others ignored. So don't brush that dream off. Write it down. Sit with it. Ask it questions. Because that door in your dream, it's not just about the past. It's the beginning of your healing. Virgo, let's go deeper now. Because what your dream is pointing to might not be just about you. Sometimes, the pain we carry doesn't start in our lifetime. It starts with a secret, a silence, a story that someone in our family couldn't tell, didn't have permission to share, or didn't survive long enough to explain. These are the quiet traumas, the ones that never made it into the family photo album, the ones buried beneath layers of politeness, denial, or shame. But energy doesn't disappear. It transfers. It moves through generations like an invisible current until someone is strong enough, aware enough, awake enough to stop it. That someone is often you. I want you to imagine this. Decades ago, a woman in your bloodline, maybe your grandmother, maybe a great aunt, found herself alone. Maybe she was betrayed. Maybe she loved someone who left. Maybe she had to give up a child she never spoke of. And instead of processing that grief, she buried it. She went on with her life, pretending she was fine, and maybe no one ever asked her what she lost. So that story, that sorrow, passed on silently, and now here you are, waking up with a heaviness in your chest, feeling waves of grief you can't explain, not knowing why you get anxious in certain places or tear up during family dinners. But your soul knows. It's carrying echoes, energetic fingerprints left behind by those who came before. I once met a man who had recurring dreams of drowning. Every night, he saw himself underwater, unable to scream. Later, he discovered his uncle had died in a river accident, and no one ever spoke about it. The trauma stayed in the family system. His dreams weren't just dreams. They were a call to witness, to acknowledge, to heal what had been hidden. Virgo, you are not here to repeat the pain. You're here to transform it, and transformation begins with awareness. So ask yourself, what stories have been avoided in your family? Who disappeared suddenly? Who was talked about in hushed tones, or not at all? What events made people uncomfortable or caused the room to go quiet? These are clues. These are threads leading back to the knot you were born to untangle. This is not a burden. It's a sacred task, and I know it can feel unfair. But you were chosen for a reason, because you have the heart, you have the strength, you have the intuition to look at what others couldn't face. And when you face it, when you speak it, write it, honor it, you don't just free yourself, you free them too. The ones who came before, the ones who come after. You become the breaker of chains, the restorer of truth. And that, Virgo, is what makes your journey so important. Virgo, you've carried so much for so long, and no one truly knows how heavy it's been. You've played the strong one, the helper, the healer, the one who keeps things together while quietly falling apart inside. And for a long time, that's how you survived. It worked until it didn't. There comes a point in every soul's journey where surviving is no longer enough. Where keeping it all in, pretending you're okay, and holding everyone else's pain just becomes too much. And you're not weak for feeling that. You're not selfish for wanting more. You're human, and it's time to choose healing over holding. I know what you might be thinking. What does healing even look like? Does it mean talking about the past, digging up old wounds, losing control? Maybe, but most of the time, healing is quieter than people realize. It's not a dramatic event. It's a decision, a daily choice to finally let go of what's been quietly hurting you. It could look like sitting in your car a few extra minutes after a long day, just to breathe. It might be journaling a memory that still haunts you, and letting your tears fall without wiping them away. It might be saying no to a responsibility that was never yours in the first place, or whispering to yourself at night, I did enough today. I'm allowed to rest. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is give yourself permission to stop performing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to always know the answer. You don't need to fix what others broke. What you do need is space to feel, space to fall apart a little, and space to begin again. Healing begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself, the moment you stop trying to outrun your feelings and instead turn towards them. Sit with them. Listen. There's wisdom in your pain. There's clarity in your discomfort. If you allow it, your emotions can become your teachers, not your enemies. Now I want to offer you something simple, something sacred, a ritual. When the moon is full, especially near June 11th this year, take a piece of paper and write down everything you're ready to release. Guilt, shame, expectations, the roles you never asked for. Write them all. Then, with intention, burn that paper in a safe place. Watch the smoke rise as if it's carrying your burdens into the sky. This isn't magic. This is memory. This is energy in motion. This is you choosing to break a cycle that's kept you small. Because Virgo, you are not here to be small. You are here to heal, to grow, and to rise. One of the most beautiful things about you is how deeply you care. But now, it's time to direct that same care inward. Be gentle with yourself. Hold yourself the way you hold others. Speak to yourself with the compassion you give so freely. And remember, healing doesn't mean you'll never hurt again. It means you'll hurt less. You'll move through things faster. You'll recognize what isn't yours to carry. And most of all, you'll begin to trust that you are worthy of peace, not someday. But now, you deserve that peace. You deserve to feel whole again. And every step you take, no matter how small, is proof that you're already on your way. And maybe no one ever showed you how to do this. Maybe you've never seen someone model what it looks like to heal with grace, to rest without guilt, to love without fear. But that's okay. Because you're becoming that example now, not just for yourself, but for the next generation, for the younger version of you who never felt safe enough to fall apart, for the future you who deserves to live fully and freely. Virgo, once you start releasing the weight of the past, something incredible begins to happen. The world around you shifts. It may not be loud, it may not be dramatic, but there's a quiet unraveling of what no longer serves you, and a slow, steady opening of new doors. And when those doors appear, it's not by chance. It's the universe responding to the space you've just created. You might notice a conversation with a stranger feels deeper than expected. or a job posting suddenly feels aligned in a way that stirs something inside you. Maybe a friend you haven't spoken to in years reaches out with surprising timing. These are not random. They are signs that energy is moving, that your frequency is shifting. But here's the thing, every opportunity comes with a test, and this is where your Virgo discernment becomes your greatest gift. Because not everything shiny is gold. Not every offer is in alignment with your healed self. Some are echoes of the past, traps dressed up as blessings. You'll need to stay grounded, connected to your truth, and willing to say no when something doesn't feel quite right, even if it looks perfect on paper. This is where trusting your intuition matters more than ever. Your body will tell you before your mind does. If something drains you, makes you shrink, or causes confusion, that's your sign. But if something feels light, clear, and expansive, even if it scares you a little, that might just be the next door you're meant to walk through. I knew a Virgo woman who had a habit of attracting emotionally unavailable partners. She worked on herself, went to therapy, forgave her parents, released her inner critic, and then one day, she met someone kind, consistent, gentle, and she almost ran because it felt unfamiliar, too calm, too easy. But that was her test. Could she receive what she said she wanted? Could she trust peace after so much chaos? She did. And it changed everything. Virgo, the next opportunity that shows up for you might not look like what you imagined. It may be smaller, quieter, or more humble than expected. But it carries the exact vibration your soul has been asking for. The question is, will you recognize it? Will you believe you deserve it? This next chapter isn't about proving yourself. It's about aligning. You don't need to hustle harder. You need to trust deeper. You've done the healing. Now let the healing guide your choices. Doors will open in strange places in coffee shops, during random walks, through an unexpected email or dream. The universe speaks through synchronicity. And when you see it, don't hesitate. Take a breath. Say yes, or say no with love if it's not for you. But either way, know this: the moment you started letting go, you made space for something better. You are stepping into a season where alignment will lead, not effort. And as long as you keep choosing what feels right, not what looks right, you will be guided to exactly where you belong. Virgo, I want you to pause and truly feel this. You have never been alone, even in your loneliest moments. Someone has been walking beside you, not in body, but in spirit. That loved one who passed away, the one who still lingers in your dreams. They haven't left you. Their energy is still here, still loving, still guiding, still protecting. You may have noticed small things, like a song that plays at just the right moment, or a scent that fills the air and reminds you of them. Maybe lights flicker when you're deep in thought, or you keep seeing their birthday numbers on clocks and receipts. These are not accidents. These are signs. They are reaching out through the veil, reminding you that they're close, and not just watching, but actively helping, guiding you away from paths that would have hurt you, whispering in moments when your mind is quiet enough to hear, placing the right people in your life, removing the ones that aren't meant for your highest good. You may not see their face, but their presence surrounds you like a warm blanket on a cold night. One woman told me she kept smelling her grandmother's perfume during times of crisis, always before a big decision. That scent reminded her of strength. It became her sign to pause and trust. Your sign may be different, but you have one too. Pay attention to what keeps repeating. The universe doesn't speak in full sentences. It speaks in patterns. You are part of a greater story, one that stretches far beyond this lifetime. And the ones who came before you, they're invested in your growth. They want you to succeed, to heal, to live freely in ways they never could. And through your healing, you are also healing them. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, close your eyes and ask, who's with me right now? You'll feel it, a soft reassurance, a calm that washes over you. That's them, still loving you, still guiding you home. Sometimes their presence shows up when you're doing something ordinary, folding laundry, driving in silence, or sipping your morning coffee, and suddenly a memory washes over you so clearly it feels like they're right there. That's not imagination, that's connection. It's their way of saying, I see you, I'm proud of you, keep going. And you might feel silly talking to someone who isn't physically there, but don't let that stop you. Speak to them, write to them, light a candle in their name. Create a small space where their love can live on. Because every time you acknowledge them, you strengthen that bridge between worlds. You remind your own heart that love never dies. Even now, in this very moment, they're listening. They hear the questions you whisper before sleep. They feel the ache you try to hide. And if you pay attention, they'll keep sending you reminders not just of who they were, but of who you're becoming. Virgo, you've come so far. And now, you're standing at a threshold not just of a new season, but of a sacred chapter. 2025 is not just another year on the calendar. For you, it's a spiritual reset, a turning point, a gateway to a deeper version of yourself, one that no longer lives from fear, but from alignment, from truth, from soul. This is the kind of shift that doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it begins quietly in the still moments when you realize you no longer feel the need to explain yourself, when you stop apologizing for your emotions, when you choose peace over people-pleasing. That's how it starts. And as this spiritual doorway opens, so does your power to create your life from a healed place. You begin to attract differently, think differently, love differently. You stop chasing. You start allowing. You release the version of yourself that was shaped by trauma and step into the version shaped by clarity and courage. This year, things may feel like they're falling apart, but that's only because something greater is falling into place. You may lose people. You may outgrow roles. You may say goodbye to certain patterns and places. But every exit creates room for something more honest to enter. I've seen this happen again and again with those who choose to wake up. One woman I spoke to said she used to keep quiet at family gatherings just to keep the peace. But something shifted in her last year. She found her voice. She started speaking up not in anger, but in love. And slowly, the entire dynamic of her family began to shift. She didn't just break a pattern. She became the healing. That's what's available for you too. Now, I want you to really sit with this question. If nothing was holding you back, what would you step into this year? What version of yourself would you allow to emerge? Because that version is waiting. She's ready. And the universe is ready too. This is not about chasing perfection. This is about embracing your wholeness, your light, your shadow, your truth. You don't need to fix anything before you start. You just need to say yes to the journey, the messy, beautiful, powerful journey back to yourself. So here's what I invite you to do. Write it down. Write down what you're calling in. Not just what you want, but what you're ready to embody. Peace, clarity, financial flow, sacred love. Write it, and then speak it out loud. Your words are spells. Your voice is a key. Use it. And if this message stirred something in, you don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Send it to someone who needs this message too. And if you feel called, write in the comments, I am ready. I claim my light. I open the door to my soul. Because when one Virgo rises, it creates a ripple. And who knows, your healing might just become someone else's permission to begin. And if you're wondering when to begin, the answer is simple now. Not when you're less afraid, Not when you're more confident, but now exactly as you are, because this version of you is enough. This version is worthy of miracles. The universe isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be present, to show up with your full heart, your full truth. And as you do, doors will open. You won't need to force them. They'll respond to the frequency of your authenticity. Think of the people in your life who shine just by being themselves. They're not trying, they're just real. That's what draws others in. And you have that same light. It's always been there. It's just been buried beneath expectations and fear, but not anymore. You've done the work. You've walked through fire, and you've earned your seat at the table of new beginnings. Claim it. So if you're still listening, take this as your confirmation. You are ready. You are guided. You are exactly where you need to be. And the path ahead is not just open, it's blessed. Let your story continue from here with more ease, more honesty, more joy. Let 2025 be the year you stop surviving and start fully living.